establishment of Khalistan will bring an enormous raft of benefits, but the establishment itself is going to be really the hardest transition period because, of course, any new nation, when it's established, needs an enormous amount of resources, primarily financial resources, to start building those building blocks, the basic infrastructure to have a fully functioning, administratively functioning nation. It needs a central bank. It needs all the basic back office infrastructures to run and manage a whole nation. So, of course, but we do know things are moving behind the scenes. But of course, behind that, it does also, a new nation, really, whether it likes it or not, it does need some form of sponsor behind it. And the sponsors will be queuing up on the international stage. Now, of course, at the front of that list is going to be China. There's absolutely no question. I totally and utterly predict that one of the countries queuing up and offering trillions of dollars to Khalistan will be China, because China is desperate for a route to the Arabian Sea and therefore the Indian Ocean. And currently it's courting Pakistan, because Pakistan offers that route all the way down to that strategic sea access, ocean access. But of course, the establishment of Khalistan offers that very same opportunity. And China is very well known for buying influence, for buying capability. It's done it right across the world, particularly West Africa as a prime example, where it's essentially bought up nations and access to all their natural resources for their own benefit. And that is likely what will happen, is that China will be courting all the key figures in the Khalistan movement, saying, look, we will offer you trillions of dollars to build your nation. We will help you build your nation. But of course, it always comes with a sting in the tail. We do know what that sting in the tail is. But on the other hand, you will have, of course, the Western nations, who I suspect won't be quite as effusively offering so much money, but because I'd say that they won't have that sort of drive, that commercial drive and strategic drive that China, and that aggressiveness that China seems to have. The West seems to have lost that sort of same aggressiveness, but sadly, and that's to our detriment. But ultimately, the United States and Europe, particularly the US, I believe, will be the party that will be behind the building of Khalistan, for all the obvious reasons that you've outlined there, James. And I do suspect that any money coming from the US will of course come with a price. There is always conditions attached, but I suspect they won't be quite as draconian as they will come from China, because of course the strategic benefits to the US and actually to the Western democratic world are enormous, because of course China is on Khalistan's doorstep. So but ultimately, Khalistan will be an independent nation. It will need that initial influx. It will need that initial funding, that seed funding, let's call it, from other nations to get it off the ground. But once that happens, it will then become self-sufficient, and it will be governed under a democratic form of rule.